Hi, welcome to Girls Talk. I'm your host Sarai, and today's topic is inclusive language. As we know, and as Jonas and Themistocles say, people use language and other communicative resources to show themselves to be certain kinds of people. For this topic today, we have some guests, three girls who are linguistic students. We have Barrera, Sofia, and Marcela. Welcome. First, let's give the audience some background about inclusive language. So, Sofia, tell us a little bit about who does inclusive language include.
Hi, thanks so much for inviting me. You see, there is an important but forgotten word most of the time, and it is gender. The whole term is actually gender inclusive language, and it means speaking and writing in a way that it does not discriminate against a particular sex, social gender, or gender identity, and it's supposed to not perpetuate gender stereotypes. And it includes everyone because it's a way to name someone. Because what doesn't have a name, it doesn't exist in our society. It can be.
All right, now Marcela, tell us where did the inclusive language come from? Where did it start?
Although it may seem like a recent phenomenon, but its origins date back to the 1970s when feminism first raised the issue that the Spanish language gave a latent importance to the feminine gender, while most references were directed towards the masculine. Delia Suardias was the first to study this issue in her master's thesis, Sexism is the Spanish Language, in 1973, where she discovered that the language even degrades women and advocated for a linguistic change.
Thank you. And Barrera, is it already accepted by the RAE? What must be done for it to be social changes?
Hi, thank you for having me today. I'm very excited to talk about this topic and give another perspective to the audience. Well, in the dictionary, in the RAE, it is still not accepted because they say that there are no proposals to include it. However, they created something called Real Academia Española, Observatorio de Palabras, which is used for terms or expressions used but not yet in the dictionary. And to create social changes, we have to continue with the struggle and to demand a right that is basic, to be treated with dignity and to be called whatever you want. So there must also be awareness and empathy in society to create social changes.
Well, that was very interesting. Thank you very much. Now, here's a question for all three of you. What changes have you seen in the classrooms, in schools? Let's start with you, Sofia.
I think that the biggest problem is acceptance and adaptation because these two things are the core of the whole subject actually. Using this inclusive language in the classroom and even in the campus is important for cultivating a welcoming and motivating environment. And being intentional about the use of this language, this inclusive language in the classroom has implications for students' learnings. It's not only about how comfortable they feel, but it also has an impact on in their engagement in the classroom and their performance.
You're right. We have to help people feel comfortable in classrooms so they can develop the best way in class. So now, let's go with you now, Barrera.
Well, actually, there is a debate that has become very common. There are those who say that true inclusivity should be to learn sign language. And I think it is a reality that there should also be openness on the issue of sign language and we must learn it. But on the other side, we should not belittle how a person wants to be called. And we should call them they if they want to.
Well, yes, we totally should respect people's wishes. Now, Marcela, what do you have to say?
That's pretty interesting because, in my opinion, I haven't seen many changes regarding the use of the inclusive language in classrooms, or maybe just in the university that I studying right now. But well, however, I have noticed more diversity and free expression, and that's a positive development.
Well, thank you so much for that. Now, for the final question. What do you guys think about the inclusive language? Are you against it or are you in favor?
Well, languages are not just a bunch of words and sentences glued together. They can also convey cultural and social values. And just as society evolves, so too does language. And we have reached this point where we have a clear path or sense of direction to follow in our lives, whether it's a good one or not. So the only thing we can still discover is ourself, our identity. Who am I? The role I'm performing resonates with me, and the answer to these questions for a lot of people it's different from the one given to them by society. And recently languages around the world are in the process of finding inclusive solutions for this wide spectrum of gender identities. And I'm actually happy about it because, well, I personally don't think that it is for me. I'm cisgender female, but I'm just happy to know that there's this change in the world where anyone can feel welcome and taken into account. I think I'm in favor of this inclusive language. I don't find any harm on it.
Well, I'm totally in favor of inclusive language. People should be treated with dignity, and it is not all difficult to change a pronoun to give respect. We all deserve equal and respectful treatment, and we have to work a lot socially to make people accept people's pronouns. This this reminds me of the recent case of Jesus Baena, Le Magistrade, in Spanish, who was killed and even dead. People can respect his pronouns and all the fight they did to make non binary gender accepted in Mexico. People criticize inclusive language, saying that it is wrong, ridiculous, that it is a waste of time. But by saying all this, we're referring to human beings who have feelings and just want to be happy and live fully. That is why I'm in favor, and I will support this daily fight for respect and dignified treatment.
Overall, inclusive language is a good way to show respect for the sexual diversity that has emerged today. It's a form of communication, and as I mentioned before, a way to show respect to the LGBT plus community by referring to them with the pronouns they identify with and feel comfortable using. I'm in favor simply because it is a variation of language, and those who choose not to use it are fine. But we must continue to respect the other people because they are also people.
Well, yes, I agree with you. I think we should respect and be thoughtful about how people want us to talk to them and how they want us to talk about them. So now, you audience, tell us, what do you think? Are you in favor of the inclusive language or are you against it? Leave it in the comments. Well, that will be all for this episode. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our guests and thank you to the audience. We hope you liked it and you found it informative. Any final words, girls?
Oh, it was a pleasure. It was wonderful to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me and giving more exposure to this topic, and I hope to come back soon. Bye.
Thank you, girls, for being here. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.